Welcome back to the Fox Robbins Business Show. This is part two of a two-part episodes, where we're talking about 21 business etiquette rules business owners must know. I hope you don't think this is a little bit off the track. We think, Coach and I think that this is important stuff.
I think it's right on the track.
In a business setting.
Yeah.
I mean, as a business owner and employees of small businesses need to be cognizant and aware of business situations and acting in an appropriate manner. I mean, it's the best thing for the business.
You say off the track, it keeps you on the track.
Keeps you on the track.
You can be knocked off the track with some poor business etiquette.
Right. This is the Fox Robbins Business Show, and I'm a co-host, Bill Fox, and the other co-host is, and he is the dynamic, the electric, and efficacious Coach Robbins.
Bill, how are you? I love those adjectives.
You like
Sound
those?
exciting.
I'm going to remember those and keep on your good side.
Good etiquette.
Yes. This is, again, part two. These come from the Essentials of Business Etiquette by Barbara Pachter, who did an excellent article, and we think that, Coach and I think that this is not just a frivolous subject matter by any means.
This is serious.
This is
very
as serious as knowing your balance sheet. I mean,
Yep,
but they're
absolutely.
both important.
Yep. You may not have a good balance sheet if you don't pay attention to good etiquette in business. It may be knocked off the track by just, being impolite.
The author says professional social situations can be awkward, and unfortunately, many people wind up making fools of themselves because they don't understand that etiquette rules in business differ from those in other settings. I mean, it's one thing to go to somebody's house and watch the Super Bowl. It's another thing to have lunch with your banker or talk to your lunch with or a meeting with investors, go to the Chamber of Commerce, go to business conventions. These are business situations, and that's what you and I are talking to.
Oh, absolutely. This is about business, absolutely.
And your point was not just the owner of the business, but people who are employed by that business.
Any stakeholder in a business, and by stakeholder, of course, I've talked about your employees are stakeholders, the customers certainly are stakeholders, the owners are stakeholders,
Investors and the
investors are
bankers
stakeholders, bankers are
and the customers
stakeholders,
and the vendors and
vendors are stakeholders.
vendors,
absolutely.
vendor
Vendors are big
relationship.
stakeholders. They can, if they're treating you right and you're working well with them, and you get the right deals and the good products and they're coming in on time and you're selling them, and they're big stakeholders.
In the first episode, we covered points number 1 through 11. We're going to move on to point number 12. Speaking of
12, yeah. Very good.
Speaking of point,
Yeah.
the author says, keep your fingers together when you point, by the way. I mean, I guess she's saying,
yeah.
if you have a habit of doing this kind of thing, get rid of it, right?
You better get rid of it. And one thing I heard some time ago is when you're pointing at somebody, don't forget there's 3 pointing back at you, and that's not a good thing. No, it's just impolite to, hey, even, kidding, if you, hey, what's up, and you're having a beer and watching the Super Bowl, that's okay.
Right.
But, hey, Bill, how are you? Want me to shoot you? No, it's just, again, you walk up to somebody, you stick out your hand, especially if you're the host, and greet them properly, standing. It was all in the first show,
Right.
and listen to their name. Remember, make sure you do the best you can.
Now, this is my mother would roll over in her grave. It says the author says never pull out someone's chair. That would be particularly a man pulling out a chair for a lady.
Sexist? Yeah.
Is that not well interpreted these days? Etiquette-wise, is pull out someone's chair in a social setting. I mean, if it's
if it's at a dinner with some
like you
friends
said,
and you pull your wife's chair out, I'm sure she's going to appreciate it. You want her to be appreciative, for sure.
But at a business lunch.
At a business lunch, I understand. This is a very tricky one. because you're not being sexist. You're being a gentleman, in my opinion. Of course, we're old enough to remember being a gentleman is a good thing. I've thought
There was such a thing.
Really. I've thought about this issue. This one really kind of perplexed me. And my resolution in my own little pea brain is, if there's a lady about to sit down at the table with me, why not grab the chair and say, "May I?"
Yeah.
Just leave. I mean, if you want to, may I? And she said, "I got it. Thank you." Okay, you're trying to do what makes that person feel comfortable. And in this setting, it is about a man pulling out a woman's shirt, because that is etiquette that goes back, 1,000 years or whatever.
But I mean, in certain circles, is that interpreted as an insult
Well,
today?
that's the thing you've got to be careful of. That's why it's so tricky. That's why, again, what I say is, may I? Get the chair for you or something, or just don't,
Yeah.
But that's a tough one, because you don't want to seem like you're ignorant. So do you or don't you? I don't know the right answer to this. I really don't. It's up to the woman, particularly, that's walking up, if they're not uncomfortable with you pulling out. That's why I say the thing I thought about is, may I?
So there's a matter of judgment here.
It's judgment, and it's a tough call. It's a tough call. Yeah.
The number 14. Excuse me, number 14. Yeah. Always break bread with your hands.
That's another one I was wondering about.
How do you figure that one? She's making a point.
Well, I have Italian in my family background.
Yeah.
And I mean, they'd reach over, grab it, rip it apart, throw the other piece back. But that's in the family set. I'll throw the other piece at you. What I think they're saying here, and I looked at this one a couple of times too, is if you've got your own roll on your own, to break it with the hands rather than reach out and cut it with a knife. Why? I don't know. This is the first time I've ever seen this,
Right.
And I say, well, I can kind of understand, I don't know what it is, what the reason is. I do anyway. I've never seen anybody take a knife, their own individual roll, and then slice it. I don't know what the bad etiquette could be in it, but this lady says it is bad etiquette. She's the expert, not me. So just simply take your roll. But I wouldn't say if there's a loaf of bread on there, I wouldn't reach out and grab it and rip a piece off.
I was going to say, I mean, there are restaurants where you get like those little miniature loaf
right.
that you cut. You don't tear that apart with your hands. That's ridiculous.
If you take somebody to the Outback, what are you going to do? Reach out, grab a piece of the dark black bread? No, of course not.
Right.
It's bad enough you're going to have to hold it with your hand. I would say that I'd take my napkin wholly in. You want to be real technical with this one? And slice a piece off, offer it to the other person,
right.
Especially in a business setting. They want to cut another one for yourself. I'm not about to reach out. Hey, want some? This one's difficult, but it's in here. We talk about it, have some fun.
This is interesting. Number 15, coaches, don't order anything too expensive. Don't just order the pheasant under glass,
right.
or the duck à l'orange,
or the filet mignon,
the
12-ounce piece, for $45.
Surf and turf.
I felt funny. I've done a lot of speaking engagements and, been hired by trade associations, flown to wonderful places like Harvard. I drove there. Baltimore.
Harvard?
New York.
Did you say Harvard?
No. Hartford.
Hartford.
Sounded like Harvard. But I've also gone to Aruba, Curacao, Hawaii, New Orleans, St. Louis, San Diego is nice, San Francisco.
Yeah.
And I'm on an expense account for that group that's having me come to speak.
Right.
Even there, when I go out to dinner, and whatever I turn in for expenses is covered. I feel funny ordering, even if I want it. I feel funny going to the American Club and spending $40 on a steak.
Right.
I spend sensibly, even though I'm on expenses. I don't know. That's just me. Makes me feel more comfortable that I'm not, pushing the envelope.
And because you're on somebody else's ticket, you say, "I'll have the Chateau Lafite 39." Make that 2 bottles.
Yeah, 2 bottles. Was that 59 40? Yeah, right. No, I don't. I don't feel comfortable. And you shouldn't, because you probably look like a
No, but I
like
think,
a leech or something. I don't know. Maybe it says, it just, again, it's part of being.
I
polite.
wanted to bring something on this show. I mean, it's a personal feeling, but over all the years, you're going to think this is funny, but I don't like business lunches in a way. If I have it in mind, I have a point, I have an issue, I want to talk business. This whole thing about we got to drive to the place, get out, go in, get a table, then everybody's got to have a menu. You can't talk about something serious. You've got to, and then you got to wait and order, and then the food comes, and then you got to eat the food and so forth.
You want to get right to business.
I think you think I'm a crazy person, but to
Oh, no,
me,
you're a crazy person. That's a different story.
a business lunch for me, if it is for casual purposes, for just getting to know someone better.
Yeah. If you're in Asia, you better learn to do that. They don't want it.
I'll
It's huge.
say that.
It's very personal, and you do go to lunch, and you go to dinner, and you get to know, and you don't talk business. You build a relationship there. Now, Americans tend to jump right in.
Asia.
So,
You say Asia is different. Let me tell you something.
Oh, yeah.
When I went to a business lunch, in Vietnam,
yeah.
in Saigon, and
Hope it was after 1976.
no, it was yeah. But sitting around, big round table or something, whatever. But one of the items on the menu was rat.
Rat.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Oh, good.
And I was awarded the tail.
Oh, so nice.
That was an honor.
Yeah.
But you're an American.
You eat the tail?
No, I don't think I did. I can't.
No,
I don't know
can
what-
you? I mean, it's just a tail.
Yeah, I don't know. But that was supposed to be, in their context,
And that's fine.
in their thinking,
and you're in
in
their
their
country.
tradition.
Yeah.
But you're an American.
Right.
We're buffoons anyway, internationally speaking. And I just got to stumble through that one.
Yeah.
But I consider that a little bit unusual.
Well, it is unusual, but it's their culture, and so you fit, when in Rome,
Yeah.
do as the Romans do.
Anyway, don't order anything too
I don't want any
expensive.
rat tail, thank you very much. The only thing I want to do with a rat tail is file.
Number 16, this is great, Coach. Know where to find the plates and the silverware.
Get in the right end of the buffet line, I guess that's what you're saying.
I don't know, is it you and I think it seems to me when I was growing up, it was probably owing to my mother of all, all people. You knew that the fork was on the right and the knife was on the left or whatever. I mean, even I've forgotten some of that, but it was, there's the dinner plate, the soup thing, the
the different plate settings.
different plates in or whatever. I mean, I am only 10% expert on that, but I know I have a little bit of feeling. But today, Coach, young people growing up don't get any of that, right? I mean, that's just not part of the scenario.
That's not part of their milieu, right?
So you're ignorant about those niceties, knowing the different
different
plates of dishware and the. How about finger bowl? Have you ever seen a finger bowl?
Rare. Not in this country, right? I think what this is referring to, though, know where to find the plates and the silverware, has more to do with a big meeting that you're going to, and particularly if it's a buffet that you've been invited to, you don't want to start on the wrong end of the line because you might be cutting in front of somebody. So it usually starts wherever the plates are. So look for the plates, look for the line, and get in the back of the line. And that's just a polite thing.
Well, I thought you were going to mention also, like these days you go to big conventions, for instance, comes to mind, or different settings where it's a presentation, a speaker, big lunches,
I got a lot of them,
which will have different dishes. for different purposes, and the location of this, the silverware,
Yeah.
and whatever and so forth. You're supposed to know this stuff. I don't know.
I just like it when they bring the dinner out to me and put the plate in front of me. A lot easier.
Yeah.
Send the rubber chicken, put it down here. Everybody gets the same rubber chicken. That's a lot easier.
This one, number 17, is order the same amount as your guest or host. Order the same amount. What do you think she's getting at there?
I think what she's saying is if your host, right, or your guest, if you're the host, obviously, orders an appetizer, it's okay for you to order an appetizer. I think it is a little impolite if your host, particularly, would you like an appetizer? And she says no, or he says no.
Yeah.
I think you should say no.
You
No,
can
thank you
skip
very
it.
much. Yeah, you can say no, thank you. I'm all set. It's the same thing with liquor, quite frankly.
Well,
I'm
booze.
not a huge drinker, thank God, and I learned at a very young age, I think I was 19 when I was told, right, if your guest or your host, you let them order first, and of course that could, who's going to order first, could be a problem. And if they say, I'll have a beer, it's okay for you to have one then, but if they say I have a Diet Coke or an iced tea, I think it's impolite to order a beer or certainly a martini, or especially at lunch. You're trying to follow and be polite, I guess, follow what your guest or your host is trying to do. And you might even say, would you like a drink? And they say, yeah, I'd like a beer. Well, great, I'll have one with you. Yeah, that's fine. My wife doesn't drink at all, and we'll go out to dinner. I know she just never drinks, and she always says to me, "Would you like a glass of wine?" And
That's
most of the time I say no.
It's not a favorite of mine to do serious booze at lunch.
Well, that's another story. That lunch or dinner.
Yeah.
I was taught, again, back when I was very young, 19, 20 years old, in a business setting, my co-op job, and my boss said, even at dinner, everybody steps up to the bar, everybody orders a martini, that's fine, right?
Yeah.
My second martini, when everybody else's, was water.
Yeah.
Because it looks like water, and a float the piece of lemon rind in it, and I'm drinking water the rest of the night.
Yeah.
And I'm cognizant and very aware of what's going on, not making a fool of myself. That's a huge mistake. That's a big, big, big mistake. When I first met my wife, she knew I was not a big drinker, and she is a teetotaler, right? And we were at a bar, right?
Right.
And I said, what would you like? And it was a big setting, and I walked up to the bar, and I said, I shall have a soda water with lime. I said, you know what, I'd like to play a trick on her. Put some water in a glass, I'm thinking like I used to do in a business setting, and throw a lime or a lemon. He says, want me to make a Cosmo? And I said, what the heck is a Cosmo? I didn't even know, He said, it's a new drink, and it's got some, I don't know, whatever, juice in it. I said, well, no, I just want plain water. He says, no, I'll put some fruit juice in it, and it'll look just like a Cosmo. So he handed me the fake Cosmo. I had her soda water, walked out, knew we just met. We weren't even married at the time. I handed her her drink, and I had a Cosmo. She says, what's that? I said, it's a Cosmo, Cosmopolitan. I said, she said, oh, gee, that's nice. You're going to have a drink. She says, you very rarely have a drink. I said, oh, I like this one. And I slugged it down, and she said, oh! like that. And I started laughing. I thought it was funny. It was just fruit juice, But in a business setting, you do want, stay sober, for God's sakes. Have one drink, that's fine, but don't have any more.
And the same amount point, I guess that the hors d'oeuvres is one thing. Also in the main course, if I was having lunch with you and you ordered a salad, I'd order a salad.
Absolutely, but if you didn't,
I'd say, oh no, I want the duck à l'orange. I want the full spread, while my host is having a salad.
Yeah.
No way.
That's a mistake.
And the dessert.
And I'll have the
The
dessert.
aperitif, how about that one?
A little, little pink.
I'll have my normal typical creme de menthe.
I don't know what the hell that stuff is. I see people with these little skinny glasses. What is that?
Oh, this is a good one, Coach. I think you'll go
like
with
this
this.
one,
Is 18 is never ask, for the doggy bag, right? This is great. Would you do that? If you're at a business lunch and say, give me the doggy bag.
No. This one I found funny. I found it funny now. I found it funny then.
Yeah.
No, you're eating, and if you're not going to finish it all, because I really don't finish it all, if you're not going to, just leave it. Don't, let me take the rest of that. I take his too. Come on. I mean, there's some common sense to some of these things like this. Like, there's still a hot dog on the plate. Well, wrap that baby up for me. Come on, really. Leave it. Let it go. I'll buy you another one later.
That leads me to comment to you also is that I don't know if there are persons who would, order a lunch or order a dinner and not eat all of it, leave a lot of food on the plate. I don't consider that excellent etiquette.
Yeah, that's not good etiquette either. I mean, that's like saying
order.
I'm not enjoying myself.
Order what you're comfortable eating, but eat what you order.
Eat a good percentage of it too, even if you don't like it. You made a mistake, or somebody, your guest, your host says, "Why don't you try the duck à l'orange?" and you've never had it. Oh, eat it, even if you're not crazy about it.
I also wouldn't be happy about bitching about the food.
Did you eat the rat tail?
Yeah, the rat tail. I can't remember what I did with that rat tail.
I'll have the other half of that rat tail to go. They may look at lobster and say, "Oh, that's disgusting." I understand that.
Number 19, I'm going to bring this to your attention. Is this the payment part?
Yep.
Remember Barbara Pachter says, remember the host should always pay.
You've been invited by somebody.
Or you invite. You're the
and
inviter.
They should want to. I mean, it's okay to say. Sometimes it's okay to say, "May I split that?" Or I'd be happy to. No, I invited you. It's a nice, polite conversation. But the host should pay. I'm hosting this luncheon.
Well, I think if you're on the top of your game, you actually think about that. I mean, I'm going to the lunch. I know.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm going to pay for it.
Yep.
I might even say to the waiter, "May I have the?"
I would say to the waiter, if I'm the host,
Yeah.
and especially with a customer or an employee or whatever, I would say to the waiter, "May I have the check, please?"
Yeah.
And I'd be writing it out and paying.
I might
Absolutely.
even say to you that this is on me, and just get it out of the way.
Yeah, I say, "Please, I've invited you. Thank you. I appreciate your time." Yeah, there's a way to be polite and do it with class. That's the bottom line.
But I guess I'm saying, don't. If you have a bad, to me, it would be a bad habit to leave it to the end of the meal and then fumble and who's going to pay.
Let the check sit down over
stuff
here
like,
and just let it sit there. And
don't do that.
No, don't do that. That's a mistake. Yeah.
Okay.
Right. It won't kill you to pick up the tab.
This is you've mentioned this before. This is, stay sober. We've covered that a little bit.
Yep.
I was going to say. I was speaking about the Far East. When I worked there, it was in China, and also when I went to Vietnam, which is Vietnam is Vietnamese, but very heavy Chinese influence.
Right.
China influences a lot.
Of course.
They're the 800-pound gorilla.
Right.
But I was going to say in those Far East settings, drinking hard booze is part of the game. You go to a luncheon. Let's say it's a business luncheon, but the people in the Far East might have next thing you know, you've got a full glass of bourbon
at lunch.
At lunch. And say, well, don't drink it. Now what? Now what do you
sip
do?
It. You got to do something. Again, when in Rome, you're trying to be polite to their culture and their etiquette. We're talking American etiquette here. It's hard. But if I were in that setting, I never have been, and they send over a full glass of bourbon at lunch. I'd sip it certainly.
Yeah.
If they expect for some reason, I doubt it, that you're going to just slug it down and have another. I don't think, hopefully they don't go that far. I wouldn't even be adverse to putting a little water in it but I wouldn't drink the whole thing.
Well, and that it gets to be sicky because there's a cultural habit.
That's what I'm saying.
If someone at that table, and you might have a table. I'm not talking about 2 or 3 people. I mean, in some cases, this is in the Far East. You're at a big round table with 12 people, or say, just to pick a number. You know, but if someone on the other side, you're looking at that person, and that person picks up his glass, and he goes like this. That's a symbol that now we're going to drink that whole glass of booze. I said, oh boy, that's a tough one for me.
Well, again,
but I had this.
But that's there.
I developed this stupid little. I mean, I know you're going to laugh at me, but I would make a point not to look at someone.
Yeah, because you're afraid they're going to go.
That's like being on the subway in NYC. Don't look at anybody.
Just don't make eye contact.
Yeah.
Right. But again, we're talking.
You're going to think that's ridiculous.
We're talking America here. We're talking American etiquette. The etiquette in China and Vietnam, they're different. But you got to kind of do it their way. But here, you know, for you to, hey, you know, let's have 4 more. You know, wahoo, let's get stoned and fall on the floor. No, that's not the way we do business here. And again, I was taught at a very young age by a very bright, tremendously successful regional vice president of a big company. You have a martini, and everybody else might be having a second or a third drink or whatever, bourbon. I say to the bartender, fill this with water, please. Even if it were half gone, I would say, would you put some water in that and you know, either another lime or lemon peel or something. And for the rest of the night, I drank water, all right? And I was the one, you know, writing all the orders.
The final point that Barbara Packer makes is number 21. Is prepare a polite exit. It's like from this episode, I have to prepare a polite exit.
That's right. Yeah.
But
and say thank you to the host. I appreciate it. Even follow it up like we said in part 1 with a note.
Right.
But say thank you very much. Even if especially if you have to leave early, just let them know. Thank you. I appreciate it, and I'll be in touch and leave. I've got to leave. I've got an appointment. Yeah.
Well, thank you again for watching the Fox Robbins Business Show, and this has been the part 2.
Part 2
on business etiquette. This is good stuff for business owners and employees.
Both.
Of small
Everybody
business
involved with business.
In business settings.
Yep.
And give a little thought to these items and be aware of what's going on around you.
Yep.
And thank you, Coach. And for you guys, please send any comments that you might have to foxrobbins@gmail.com. And make those polite comments, by the way. And thank you again. We'll see you next time.